Erosion of our marriage, Amber, my wife of 10 years, smoothed down her crisp blazer. A flicker of something I couldn't quite place in her eyes. Nerves. I thought she was going on a work trip to Chicago, a 3-day conference that, if I was being honest with myself, felt more like a 3-day escape. Lately Amber had been distant working late, whispered phone calls taken in the other room, a new perfume that hung in the air like a ghost of another life. The signs were there, tiny cracks in the foundation of our home, but I refused to see them. I loved Amber, loved her with a fierceness that bordered on desperation. I convinced myself it was stress, tiredness, anything but the truth that was staring me in the face that night. As I tucked our daughter Lily into bed, a wave of nausea rolled over me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was profoundly wrong. I returned to the bedroom to find Amber gone, her suitcase Saturday on the bed, a silent, accusatory presence. A gut feeling, a primal instinct I couldn't ignore, urged me to open it. Inside, nestled amidst perfectly folded clothes, was a iPad. I hesitated, a war raging inside me. This felt like a violation, a transgression of trust, even though the trust was already hanging by a thread. But the goring suspicion was stronger. I powered it on, my hands trembling. The screen lit up, displaying an open email. It was from Wyatt, a colleague of hers. My blood ran cold as I read the words. Can't wait for Chicago, baby. 3 days just with you. The air thickened in my lungs. The room spun. I stumbled back, the iPad clattering to the floor. Chicago wasn't a work trip. It was a rendezvous. My Amber, the woman I built a life with, the mother of my child, was having an affair. A cold fury unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Too cold. I felt a strange detachment, as if I were watching myself from outside my body. I picked up the iPad and methodically scrolled through their messages, a sickening chronicle of their betrayal. Dates, times, whispered sweet nothings, plans for their future, a future that didn't include me. My revenge wouldn't be impulsive, wouldn't be a burst of anger. It would be calculated, precise, and utterly devastating. I printed out every single message, every photo, every damning piece of evidence. I then placed the stack neatly inside her suitcase, tucked between her silk scarf and her favorite dress. Next to the incriminating evidence, I placed a small framed photo of Lily, her innocent eyes staring up at me, a silent accusation. The following morning, I played the part of the dutiful husband. I made coffee, packed Lily's lunch, and kissed Amber goodbye, my lips brushing her cheek in what felt like the ultimate act of betrayal. She smiled, a strained, brittle smile. See you Monday, day, she said, her voice betraying a tremor. Love, you have a good trip, I replied, my voice flat. Emotionless, I watched from the window as she drove away, her car disappearing around the corner. Then I picked up the phone and called Wyatt's wife, a woman I barely knew. I think you need to see something, I said, my voice low and steady. Come over whenever you're ready. 2 hours later, Wyatt's wife, a petite woman with eyes that mirrored my own devastation, Saturday, on my couch, clutching the printed messages. Her face was ashen, her body trembling. We Saturday in silence, united by our shared pain, to casualties of Amber and doubly selfish choices. Sunday evening, I received a text from Amber. We need to talk. It wasn't a question. She arrived home, her face pale and drawn. She stopped dead in the doorway, her eyes widening as she saw Wyatt's wife sitting on our sofa, Lily playing quietly at her feet. Then her gaze fell on the open suitcase, the incriminating printout spilling out onto the floor. The blood drained from her face. She swayed, her hand flying to her mouth, and collapsed onto the floor. The confrontation that followed was brutal, a maelstrom of tears, accusations, and recriminations. Wyatt's wife, initially shocked and heartbroken, found a steely resolve. She left with their 2 young children, leaving a voicemail that I could hear clearly from where I stood. It was short, sharp, and final. Amber, stripped bare of her lies and deceit, could offer No defense, she sobbed, begging for forgiveness, but her words felt hollow, meaningless. The damage was done. The trust was shattered. Our life together, the life I thought we were building, lay in ruins around us. Lily thankfully slept through the entire ordeal. The next morning, I looked at her sleeping face. Her features so similar to amber. A wave of sadness washed over me, a profound grief for what we had lost, but beneath the sadness a flicker of resolve began to burn. I would protect Lily. I would rebuild my life brick by painful brick. I filed for divorce. Amber moved out, a ghost of her former self. Wyatt, abandoned by his wife and ostracized by his colleagues, left the city. His reputation in tatters. The following months were difficult, a blur of legal proceedings, sleepless nights, and a constant ache of loss. But slowly, painfully, I began to heal. I focused on Lily, on being the father she needed. I started therapy, confronting the pain, the anger, the betrayal. I started rebuilding my life, focusing on my career, my friends, my family. Years later, I'm no longer the man I was. The naive, trusting husband is gone, replaced by someone tougher, more guarded, but also more resilient. The scars remain, a reminder of the pain I endured, but they no longer define me. I've learned to forgive, not for Amber or Wyatt, but for myself. Forgiveness wasn't about condoning their actions. It was about releasing the anger and bitterness that was poisoning my soul. It was about finally letting go of the past and embracing the future, a future that is mine, to create a future filled with hope and the unwavering love of my daughter. The pain may linger, a dull ache in my heart, but it no longer holds me captive. I am free.